Isaac Sarason is a skilled hacker, formerly employed by British Telecom-Sprint. When his health failed, Isaac did the only thing he could think of. He ran. He found a haven in a working-class district of the city known as Little Russia. There Isaac took on a new name, Ishmael. He then became embroiled in the affairs of a brutal member of the Lamadiza organized crime family, known as Leo. Convinced by his longtime friend Frankie to flee from his commitments to the Lamadiza family, Isaac found himself hunted by the ruthless Leo. On a rooftop, far from witnesses, Leo murdered Frankie. Only through the use of his skills as a hacker was Isaac able to drive Leo off. Wounded, alone, and far from help, Isaac depended on the kindness of strangers. One stranger, a burqa-wearing doctor known as Fatima, took pity on Isaac and helped him make his way to the mysterious Star X line. At the end of all hope, they found the Star X line and the slim promise that the enigmatic beings behind the Star X could save Isaac from the implants which destroyed his life. What do you do when those who saved you have recorded everything you are? What do you do when your every action is tracked by the Keylogger? Colbyjack.net is proud to present Firmware Keylogger, the third installment in the firmware pentology by Colbytrax. What are you doing now? I asked. For the first time, I was aware of how my short-sighted nature had hurt those around me. No, not me, the person I had come from. The real reason I had come to see Fatima, instead of rampaging around the city like my brothers, was a desire to do something real. I didn't want to run around half-cocked without a plan, incapable of actually doing what I said I would. Hell, I had already done that a dozen times since I woke in my server beneath BGM. It was time to do something different, something well planned out, and something I was capable of finishing. I am seeing patients on a house call basis, Fatima answered. How does that work? I asked, truly interested in how a doctor ran a practice based around house calls. I have an office about 2 blocks over, Fatima said, pointing past my shoulder. Patients come in for an initial consult. I take as much data as I can from their SenseNet rigs. There's actually a lot of information one can glean from the data stream once one knows what to look at. Once I have a workup I am satisfied with, I decide whether they would be best served by simply taking an over-the-counter remedy, or if they need a physical meeting. In most cases, I end up needing a physical meeting. I have no faith in a stranger, even one from among the faithful, to not lie to me in order to receive access to narcotics or worse. It's not like you have to be Aberdeen to get an account with V-City, I added. That is true, Fatima agreed. I end up traveling about 3 hours a day on the train. Oh, I answered. What's the farthest you've traveled for a customer? Patient, Fatima corrected. The farthest I have been to see a patient is 4 Mile Creek in the west and Glen Cove in the east. 4 Mile Creek is in North Shore. That's a pretty expensive neighborhood, I said. I'd have thought... You'd have thought what? Fatima answered, suddenly becoming defensive. That a doctor from the south side of the alley wouldn't be good enough? I put up my hands in supplication. No, I'd have thought they'd have a local doctor, someone a bit closer. I just don't understand why they wouldn't have a doctor closer to home. Not many doctors make house calls. Out of the nearly 900,000 doctors in the city, there are maybe 200 of us who make house calls. And for some, it comes down to like seeking like, Fatima added. So mostly Aberdeen? I asked. Fatima shook her head. Mostly trans. I must have looked confused because she added, cross-dressers and transgendered. There was a pause before she continued. I used the time to watch the tea leaves circulate around the cup in ever-slowing circles. Even with no legal opposition to gender reassignment or modes of dress, it is still nice to be around those who don't question your life choices. Fatima stared off into space for a bit. That's not true. There aren't any written laws against cross-dressing, but step outside of your birth gender-assigned costume, and there is always a price to pay. For you, it was your life, your children, and your wife, I said, trying to show understanding for a world I really didn't understand in the least. You have it wrong. I lost my wife and my children. My life is still my own. I am still among the living, even though my own people won't have me, Fatima answered. I looked around the world of the V-City, taking in the dance of light across the buildings, the stillness of the night, a stillness the real city was only capable of on the rarest of days. The Aberdini are ostracizing you? That doesn't seem right. Fatima hushed me before I could tear off down that path. Hush, my dear. You keep jumping when you should be listening. No, the truly faithful accept me as I am. Though on the streets of Little Russia, they are among the minority. Even among those who have claimed the community of the Aberdini as their own since birth, there is a separation between what is accepted in the abstract and what is accepted in the real. In the neighborhoods, the idea of a doctor being different is too much for them. When they thought I was dressing in a burqa as a way of moving invisibly among them, as I helped others without involving the city's social services, it was okay. Then my wife made it public that I wore the burqa because I liked it, because... Fatima stopped a moment, her eyes watering. I moved to speak. She shut me up with a motion of her hand. When my wife learned that I didn't feel complete without the hijab standing before me and the world, and that if the burqa hadn't been the only way to pass as a man in a woman's space, I would have been dressing as you see me now years ago. Fatima ordered another pot of tea and a plate of cakes from a waiter as he passed. Where was I? Your wife couldn't accept the fact that you really like dressing in women's clothing, I answered. Fatima frowned for a second before smiling. Direct and to the point. Don't they teach tact at those geek academies? I laughed. Not so much. Just one more hypersensitive question and I'll let you interrogate me. You'll let me? Oh, really? Fatima reached across the table and took my cold cup of tea in her hand and emptied it on the sidewalk. Why'd you do that? I asked. Not the sensitive question I expected. There you go, using up your one question foolishly. Fatima placed my teacup before her, next to her own. When the tea arrives, I want you to just taste it. Taste it? I said, incredulous. I thought these were all just props, just like the drinks in Maximum Metal. No wonder you played with the tea so long, Fatima laughed. I swore you were studying the individual bits of tea, checking to see if they moved properly. I swallowed hard, looked at the empty cups. I was checking their movement. Whatever for? Fatima asked. Long story, I answered. My question, the tea, and then my story. Deal, Fatima said. So what is so sensitive you feel you need to announce how bad you are to ask? I swallowed hard and then asked, Are you a tranny or a transgender? Fatima frowned. First, never say tranny again as long as you live. It is very insulting. Also, while you're on the subject, don't use the term transvestite either. Use cross-dressing or keep your mouth shut. She then smiled. It was nice to see you knew to use transgender instead of the ugly transsexual, mainly for the flexibility inherent in its use, as not all gender role discomfort involves a desire for a new body. Are you going to answer, or are you trying to distract me with a realm's worth of jargon? I asked with a smile. The waiter arrived with a fresh pot of tea and a plate of small, sticky buns. Fatima smiled coyly until the waiter left us. Her face became stressed, revealing the depth of her distress. It is complicated. In the city, the real world, as many would say, I am a man who likes to wear women's clothing. I love women, their company, and their bodies, as only a man can. But here? She trailed off. Her eyes swept the cafe as if she were afraid someone would overhear her. Here things are different. Here I feel I am a woman with needs and wants I can only imagine every woman in the world has felt since the beginning of time. She looked away shyly. In the city, I am a man and have no desire to be anything else. In the V-City, I am a woman and have no desire to be anything else. There I have said it. That is who I am. I am a man who lives as a woman in his dreams. Her face relaxed and she smiled at me. Is it confusing? I asked. Very. Fatima reached for the tea service and poured us each a cup. Do you ever think about staying here forever? I asked. That I do, she said, but we aren't allowed that luxury. No one can stay in the V-City all the time. I am surprised you were able to sit on that bench for 2 days. I'm a special case, I smiled. I hadn't thought about that before. A real person using a SenseNet couldn't stay interfaced forever. They'd have to eat and drink as well as defecate and urinate. Besides, their muscles would atrophy if they stayed in the simulation forever. How long had Fatima been in the V-City today? I checked the clock and saw we were only a few hours from Fajr. Morning prayers conducted in the moments between dawn and sunrise. Fatima handed me a steaming cup. Smell it. Think about it, then sip it. The cup was warm in my hands, the porcelain racing to match the temperature of the water within. I inhaled over the dark reddish liquid. The aroma which came to my nose reminded me of something primal and smoky. I sipped the liquid. The flavor of wood smoke. It was a barbecue, washed across my tongue. Then I realized what I was feeling. I was feeling a body, a fully functional body with all the senses in place, which I hadn't realized I had been missing since I woke in the servers beneath BGM. It was as if the scent of the tea, a strong, smoky flavor, which will stand in my memory as the first thing I ever really felt, opened a door inside me, freeing me to feel fully for the first time. I felt the press of the chair on my legs, the tension of my undergarments as they pulled up in uncomfortable ways. The way the table felt beneath my fingers, the scent of Fatima's perfume. She smelled like lilacs in June. I felt all this and knew I had missed more than just opportunities in all my previous lives. I had existed, but I had never lived. It was time to begin living. Firmware Keylogger is the third book in the firmware pentology. That's 5 books, if you must know. It begins where Firmware Proxy ends, which in turn followed on the heels of Firmware Hijacked. So you haven't heard or read Firmware Hijacked or Proxy, this would be a great time to head on over to Colbyjack.net and either download the podcast on the audio side, read the episodes on the visual side, or download the Colbyjack Sunday Reader issues 1 through 46 in your choice of either EPUB or Mobi. Firmware, Hijacked, Proxy, and Keylogger are all available in ebook versions from our store at shop.colbyjack.net, Amazon.com, BarnesandNoble.com, and Smashwords.com. Just search for Colbytrax. That's Colbytrax. I'm the only one. A complete audiobook version of both Firmware, Hijacked, Proxy, and soon Keylogger is available for download through our shop as well. If you don't need any stuff, but would like to support our work, drop on by Colbyjack.net and hit the pretty little donate button conveniently located on the right-hand side of the blog roll. If you're on a smaller screen, the bottom will be found at the bottom of the page. Firmware Keylogger is released under a Creative Commons, non-commercial, attribution, share-alike license. Do what you want with it. Just don't sell it, and always tell people where it came from. If you received this from a friend and want more information about Colbyjack.net and our split personality website, just drop on over to Colbyjack.net and select either the audio or visual side. The audio side carries our podcast, while the visual side carries our writings. Whichever side catches your fancy is fine with us. We're of two minds about the whole thing anyway. I do mostly Twitter, so if you do the tweets and want to follow me, I'm Colbytrax. That's Colbytrax. Thank you once again. Remember to be fabulous and have a wonderful week.